Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? We're back for another daily episode here at the X Factor Sports Talk. I'm your host today, Troy. My boys are out, but nonetheless, we had a great slate of 8 games to dive into before getting into today's slate in the NBA last night. First, we'll kick off in Phoenix, where the Suns knocked off the Knicks 116-95. For the Suns, it's really just a complete showing of their depth. I think that they've just really established themselves as maybe we're not going to go away like some had thought coming into the year. I know coming into the season, I was lower than the consensus on the Phoenix Suns. I think they've done a really good job. Even without Chris Paul for most of the year, they're 10-6, which isn't great, but 4 games over 500 nonetheless early on in the year. You've dealt with a lot of injuries. You've dealt with a lot of internal stuff, and you're still finding a way to be a few games over 500. You have a guy in Devin Booker that continues just to elevate his game. He's continuing to try to get others the ball. I feel like he's had a really, really solid year in that department, averaging just at 6 assists a game, which is really good for him. But yeah, just a complete showing from them. Damian Lee continues to be a pretty good signing off the bench. He had 15 last night. And for the Knicks, it just kind of shows their weaknesses. They're not very deep. And Jalen Brunson had a great game, but then you look at the guys around him and RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, they continue to struggle. Randle's had a solid year, but RJ Barrett, I feel like every time I tune into a Knicks game or I look at their box score, he just continues to just put up duds. And they fall below 500. They are now 8-9. Moving on to the Hornets on the road to play the Wizards. The Wizards got a win, 106-102. Kyle Kuzma is the story in Washington for me, 28-10-5. As a Laker fan, I kind of got to watch the boom of Kyle Kuzma, if you will. I got to see him kind of come out of Utah, come into the Summer League, in that exciting Summer League experience as a Laker fan with Lonzo Ball, getting really excited about the future. Alex Caruso was there. It was a really, really fun group. They were fun to watch. They were fun to root on. And now seeing him blossom in Washington in a bigger role is awesome. I'm so excited for him. And Bradley Beal as well poured in 26. Kind of shows what they can be with Porzingis, Avdia, Kuzma, Beal, even Corey Kispert with 14, 6, and 3. And then for the Hornets, Kelly Oubre played pretty well, 23.7 rebounds, shot the ball terrible from downtown, 1 of 7 there. PJ Washington played okay. Gordon Hayward shot 16 shots, so not a great game there. The Hornets are just really bad. I don't think there's much to get into with those two teams. Now, this next team we're going to talk about is the Sacramento Kings, and they played the Detroit Pistons last night in a game which they were behind in the fourth quarter by as much as 5 to 6 points, and they end up winning by 8. This team, whenever they get rolling, whenever they get hot, they're one of the best offensive teams in the league, ratings-wise, all across the board. Points per game, field goal percentage per game, three-point field goal percentage. All statistical offensive categories, this Kings team is unbelievable. They continue just to show how good they can be, and they are scary. They are scary good. I want people to understand this Kings team is not fraud. It's not them just getting hot. This is what they can be, and it is really scary. De'Aaron Fox, 33 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Kevin Huerter, 24, 5, and 5. Sabonis, 15, 13, and 7. 4-5 from the field. So the dude didn't even shoot a lot and had those numbers. Keegan Murray with 13. Harrison Barnes finally getting involved, 27 and 9. And then their bench, they didn't even get a great bench outing from their guys like Malik Monk, Davion Mitchell, Terrence Davis, Jimmy Metu, and Trey Lyles. But nonetheless, this crew is so much fun to watch. I love this Kings team. They are for real. They are fun. I haven't really missed too many games. I didn't watch much of this game, but I did tune in for the fourth quarter. And my God, I'm so glad I did. They poured it on late. For the Pistons, Jaden Ivey with 24 was pretty efficient from the field, shot 4-4 from downtown, which is awesome. Bogey continues to look very, very good, 8 of 12 from the field. I know Caleb, in a lot of these dailies, he keeps hinting or pushing that teams need to go look for Bogey. Like, they need to be on the phone with the Pistons. And if you are a team that is looking for a wing scorer, some wing depth, a veteran that can just put the ball in the bucket, space the floor, you should be calling them. I don't know if they'd be willing to get off of him just because they've extended him. They traded for him. So I think that would be a little difficult. But if you give them a package that they can't refuse, I think that'd be a great move. But again, the Pistons, they've kind of been a dud of the year, 3-15. Not much to get excited about there. The Cavs go at home and defeat the Miami Heat 113-87. The Cavs just keep finding ways to win. It doesn't really matter who's out there. No, who was it? Kevin Love is hurt. So Cedi Osman off the bench had 20 points and 12 rebounds. If one guy's not there or one guy's not producing, they seem to always have that next guy up, which is incredible for the Cavs. I mean, Donovan Mitchell rather had 13, so it's not even like he had his best, scoring night or best night overall. But then you have Darius Garland, 25-7, efficient from the floor, 7 for 12. Even Jared Allen didn't play that well, 8.6 rebounds. Evan Mobley, though, with 15, 10, and 5. On the Heat side, again, they're just, whenever they have 1 to 2 to 3 guys out, and I said this in a previous daily video, they're terrible. Like, they are not a good basketball team. They were without Tyler Hero again, Jimmy Butler, Gabe Vincent wasn't available. Victor Oladipo continues to nurse back his injuries and hasn't played. This team is just not good, to put it bluntly, especially when they have injuries. Kyle Lowry shot 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 7 from downtown. Bam was 21-6, and then you got Caleb Martin, who was 17, but then outside of that, they had no production from anywhere, and the Cavs dominate. The Warriors went on the road and defeated the Houston Rockets, and I think the story of the night is Klay Thompson. What a game from Klay Thompson. 41 points on 10 of 13 shooting from downtown. We've been really hard on Klay here at the X Factor. He just hasn't looked himself, and maybe this is a change of the tide for him, change of the tide for the Warriors. They're on a little, out of their last 4 games, they've won 3, so they're 3-1 over their last 4. Tonight they play the Pellies, and it looks like they're going to bench a lot of their guys, which I don't really understand at this point of the year, especially whenever you need wins. But nonetheless, Steph Curry, 33-15, pouring in 6 boards, 7 of 14 from downtown. It was really a vintage Splash Brothers performance from Steph and Klay. And then Andrew Wiggins pouring in 22 himself. Jordan Poole didn't play very well off the bench, but nonetheless, they still put up 127 points against this Rockets team. The Rockets aren't very good, but anytime you can get a win in the league, especially when you're struggling like the Warriors are, it's a W. The Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr. played pretty well, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, but they moved to 3-14, and again, not much to get excited about when it comes to the Houston Rockets right now. The Nets defeated the Grizzlies 127-115. And the last time it was only me, a solo on the Daily Pod, I kind of got into the Brooklyn Nets. What Jacques Vaughn has done is really, really great. He's almost reinvented this team, and they buy into him. I don't know what it is about Jacques Vaughn, but the guys just love playing for him. So I think in that sense, they've done a really, really good job. Ben Simmons continues just to get better and better and better, which is exactly what they need. He had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Kyrie Irving played last night, had 14 points and 5 rebounds. Kevin Durant had 26, 7 and 7, and they dominate. They win by 12 against the Grizzlies, who again are without Ja. So, not much there to get excited about when it comes to them without Ja, without Jaren Jackson Jr. Last year, they were really, really good without Ja. This year, it just hasn't been the case. They haven't looked themselves, but anytime you have a guy named Dylan Brooks shooting 30 shots in a basketball game, you're probably not winning that game, and that's okay. But yeah, they did lose. They did fall 127-115 to the all of a sudden hot Brooklyn Nets. To the nightcap here, or one of the nightcaps, the Denver Nuggets defeated the Dallas Mavericks 98-97. Not your typical NBA basketball game, but there was no Jokic, there was no Jamal Murray, there was no Aaron Gordon, and no problem for the Denver Nuggets to pick up a win there. They win by 1 point. And again, not really much to talk about with this Nuggets team. Michael Porter Jr. didn't play well. I mean, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope shot terrible. DeAndre Jordan had 8 points and 17 rebounds. DeAndre Jordan had 17 rebounds. I think that is most of the story. But then off the bench, they got a huge surge from Bones Highland, who had 29, 3, and 6. For the Mavericks, I mean, they had Luka, they had Spencer. Really, the only guys they were missing, you look at their roster that gets minutes, is nobody. They had everybody available to them, and they still found a way to lose without Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon on the floor. This is a pretty concerning loss, if you ask me. But I don't know about this Mavericks team. 1 minute I'm all in on them. The next I'm like, God, they're frustrating. You want to know what's not frustrating, though, is the resurgence of Anthony Davis as a Laker fan. The Lakers win 123-92 last night. It was their first dominant game that I can remember in such a long time. I almost forgot what it felt like to be up as much. We were up as much as 34 points. I forget almost what that felt like. It was a dominant performance from Anthony Davis. He looked about as mobile and as agile as he has in the last few years. Everybody can talk about this, that, or the third about Anthony Davis, but he has worked his tail off this year, and I've been wrong on him. I've dogged him the first few games whenever his usage was down. But now that they've kind of bought into this is Anthony Davis's team, and they're feeding him, and they're saying, hey, you take us as far as you want to. Now, granted, both the last 3 games, they have gone against smaller fronts. But nonetheless, all you want to see is production, and that's what Anthony Davis is giving to you. Last night, 30 points, 18 rebounds. Austin Reeves continues to play incredible. He had 21 last night. Lonnie Skywalker is playing awesome. He had 14 points as well. Thomas Bryant, Kendrick Nunn, Dennis Schroeder, and Russell Westbrook all in double figures off the bench. Thomas Bryant looks amazing right now. Fresh off his injury, he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Him and Russ off the bench have such a chemistry from their time in Washington. So that's been cool to watch. His energy level is awesome. His communication, he's a leader on the floor. And Kendrick Nunn continues just to get better. He continues to work, slowly getting back to the old K Nunn that we're all expecting as a Laker fan base. And then Dennis Schroeder off the injury, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. This team is what they are. But I'll tell you what, these last few games, they've played really hard. They've fought endlessly on the floor. And Anthony Davis has been a top 10 NBA player, which is exactly what you need from Anthony Davis, even with or without LeBron. So whenever LeBron comes back, I don't want to see this dip, and I don't think it's going to. For the Spurs, Devin Vassell is such a dog. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. That's the only guy I want to get into. Keldon Johnson played terrible. Couldn't hit anything. He shot 4-20 from the field. He played terrible. He played literally terrible last night. All of his shots looked awful, even in the ones that he made. But Charles Bassey also 8 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists from the big fella. Way to work, Charles Bassey. But yeah, Devin Vassell, really the only bright spot for the Spurs. And looking at today's slate, it's the same size slate as we had yesterday, an 8-gamer. We got the Hawks going on the road to play the Cavs, and I have the Atlanta Hawks winning this one. I think that the Cavs, they've done a really good job with all the injuries and things that they've had to kind of sift through and work themselves through, but I think the Hawks beat them tonight. The Orlando Magic go on the road and play the Pacers for a little half back-to-back where they play one time, get a day off, play again. And I have the Indiana Pacers dominating the Magic tonight. The Warriors go on the road and play the Pelicans. And I have the Pelicans. Again, another dominant game. A dominant game because the Warriors are, like I said earlier, benching Clay, Steph, Draymond, and then Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney all on the injury report. That's a sign. That's a sign for disaster for the Warriors. If they find a way to win tonight, that would be huge, but I don't think they do. My game of the night, the Boston Celtics go on the road to play the Chicago Bulls. I think this game is going to be really, really close. The Celtics have been one of the best teams, if not the best team in basketball. They have a chance to, go on a 10-game winning streak with this win. I don't think they get it done. I think the Bulls come out really fired up. I think they play extremely well together, and I think they get a win. The Trailblazers go on the road to play the Bucks. I have the Bucks winning there. Don't really want to dive too deep into this game. I don't really see a lot of entertaining games on this slate, if I'm just being completely blunt. Then we look ahead. The Miami Heat play the Minnesota Timberwolves, another game. I think the Timberwolves go over 500 here, and I think they get a win against the Miami Heat. The New York Knicks play against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think the Oklahoma City Thunder get the job done. We've talked endless about Shea. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch that. It's a great one. Me and Caleb dive into the Oklahoma City Thunder's future and Shea overall. I love Shea. Then the night gap, the only late game is the Utah Jazz going on the road to play the Clippers. This is an interesting one. The 12-6 Jazz. That's just nuts to look at. I do have the Clippers edging out the Jazz tonight. Thank you guys so much again for watching. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and comment down below what you expect from the NBA slate tonight, your game of the week or your game of the day, your player of the day, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.